So we're making some more bank poles, huh?
Diddy Poles. We're definitely making Diddy Poles. We're showing people how to make.
Diddy pole? It's a bank pole.
You prefer bank, but clearly they're called Diddy Poles.
No, it's bank pole.
Why does it matter? Doesn't
Alright, fine. It's a Diddy pole.
Bank pole's fine with me. Bank pole. Either way. Well, I mean, it's really just it's a stick with some string.
Yeah. It gives maybe that should be the ugly stick.
So, I'm Quentin. This is Justin with Mid-South Outdoor Life. And today, in response to some requests online, we're going to show you how to make an efficient Diddy pole system.
So what is a Diddy pole?
A bank pole? Well, it's pretty simple. I guess it would be a stick, a line, and a hook designed to catch fish.
Huh.
You take said stick, line, and hook to your favorite fishing spot, you drive it into the ground, put your favorite bait on that hook, and you come back later.
Wait, so we're not casting these?
You look kind of goofy. But what we're doing today is we're showing these people how to make an efficient Diddy pole system. Not just any Diddy pole. Something that's affordable, something that's easy to use, quick to deploy, quick to put up, something that probably won't leave a hook in your hand.
I like it. Let's get to it.
Let's do it. There's a variety of different ways that you could make your efficient bank pole system. We're just going to show you what's worked well for us. And for that, we're going to go into the materials that you'll need to make our bank pole system. So first up, you're going to need the bank pole itself. This just happens to be 1/2 inch Schedule 40 PVC. It doesn't have to be the gray electrical grade. It can be the white. This is just what we had. You need a 1/2 inch cap for the pole. Stainless steel eye bolts. These are 3/16. You need some good quality rubber bands. These are size number 64. A little bit of reflective tape in any color you choose. You need some tarred string. This is available at Academy. This is the Tournament Choice brand. I believe it's rated at 165 pounds. You need some large circle hooks. These are size number 7. You need some large, heavy-duty, quality swivels. Some sliding sinkers. These just happen to be 1.5 ounce.
So, we know the materials we need, but we can't just take this stuff together. Like, it needs to be assembled. And for that, we're just going to need a few tools. So, we'll need a lighter, a hacksaw, some scissors, a pair of pliers, a 3/16 drill bit with the drill, your measuring tape, Sharpie, a grinder with a sanding disc or sandpaper, a couple blocks of wood, and a heavy-duty heat gun or torch.
First up, we're going to cap either end of this 7-foot pole. It does not need any glue. Drill a hole. To prepare the eye bolt to be installed, there's a couple things I like to do that shouldn't be overlooked. You'll notice that the way this comes out of the package, there's an opening in this eye bolt where your line could get caught up and possibly frayed. I like to take my pliers and close up that gap to make it look more like this. The proper way to do that is to put the pliers at an angle, not like this, but like this, and squeeze down. To close up that gap. The next thing I like to do, when these come out of the package, they generally are just going to have a regular nut. I like to replace that with a nylon nut so you don't have to worry about it coming loose. But yet you can remove it much easier than if you had used Loctite. Next, insert the eye bolt into the pole. Thread the nut on the other side. Use pliers or a wrench or your teeth to tighten it down. For the next step, we're going to mark this pole at 2 different locations. When need a mark at 30 inches from that end. From the opposite end, I like to mark it at 24 inches. But on this mark, I like to go all the way around the pole. This will serve as a reference line when you're driving the pole into the ground, so you'll know how far in the pole has set if you need to go farther or if you don't. This is usually the point when I add reflective tape. You want the reflective tape because generally you're going to run these poles at dark or in the middle of the night. You want to be able to find them. It doesn't matter what color you use, just something that you can find out there in the dark. While we're taping things, might as well go ahead and set our rubber band. I like to use a good quality electrical tape, which I think we forgot to list in the materials list. Please forgive us. I like to do 1 to 2 full wraps before I put the rubber band in place. Just lay the rubber band on the pole lined up with the eye bolt at the end of the pole. So you'll notice that I've ran the tape through the rubber band. I'm going to do one more complete wrap through the rubber band. And then from that point, I want to lay the rubber band over the tape. 2 more wraps. Then I like to run it down the pole just a little. That'll hold nice and secure. This next step is very important to the entire system. What we're going to do is we're going to seal off the end of this pipe, which will prevent the pipe from filling up with mud after repeated use. It's also going to allow us to put a nice sharp point on this pipe, which will make it a lot easier to drive into the various different types of soil that you're going to use it in. You're not always going to get lucky and get a sandy bank or a muddy bank. Sometimes it's going to be hard packed, and it can get pretty difficult to drive that into the ground if you don't put a good point onto the pole. So we're going to start by heating up the pole. I do want to caution you about melting PVC. If you get it so hot that it begins to smoke, you want to make sure that you don't breathe in those fumes. It can make you very sick. But for what we're doing, just getting it hot enough to make it soft, that shouldn't be an issue. You may notice that the PVC is beginning to change color. That's a good indicator that I'm getting close. When it begins to blister and turn brown, it's almost done. I'm putting some of the heat on the outside, but a great deal of it is going directly inside the pipe. I like to get about 1.5 inches of the pipe fully warm. I think it's there, so I'm going to set it down on the board. I'm going to take my second block of wood, and I'm just going to put some pressure on it. I like to leave the pressure on for about 1 minute while the pipe cools and the tip hardens. After you've pressed the pipe with the block of wood, you're going to want to let this cool for maybe up to 5 minutes so it gets good and firm before we go on to the next step. Meanwhile, we'll be working on the rest of the setup. For my main line, I like to run out about 5 feet of line, maybe 5.5. I've already tied it to the eye bolt. There's a ton of videos online already about how to tie knots, so I'm not going to bore you with that. But in case you're wondering, I used an anchor hitch knot because it works well with this type of line. It's really strong and it's easy to remove. I just slightly melt the ends of this line so I don't have to worry about it coming undone. Our main line is secured to our eye bolt. We've got about 5.5 foot of line here. Now we're going to slide on our sinker and tie on our swivel. You don't have to worry very much about tag ends. You don't have to cut them off really short. Catfish aren't line shy. Okay. So we've tied our number 7 circle hook onto about an 18-inch leader. I've used the same knot that I've used for the rest of this setup, which is an anchor hitch knot. Go into our swivel, slide sinker, straight up to the eye bolt. This is a 165-pound line. I've never had an issue with this setup. I've never had the knots come out. I've never had a fish break off. It's been effective. We're going to go ahead and wrap this line up, and this bank pole is almost ready to use. I just like to slide the knot around the eye bolt close to the pole and wrap it just like this. And I pull the rubber band to the hook. Now we can throw a pile of these in the boat, take off down the river. The line's not going to come off. It's not going to get caught up in another pole. It's not going to fly around and hook you in the face. You're ready to go fishing. Except one thing. We've got to finish this end. Next up, we mark a couple of angles. We're making a 90 here. We're 245s. However you prefer to look at it. Those are our cut lines for our hacksaw. Here we go. So as you can see, we've basically made a spear on this end. A spear that won't pack with mud, so that's a good thing. Now we're going to take our grinder and make this even sharper. Here we go.
Whoa! Safety first.
Thank you, Justin. So now that we've used the grinder, we've got a nice hard point on the end of this pole that'll drive into pretty much any bank you come across.
The total cost on this project is about $7 per pole.
So tackle and everything.
Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see more videos like this, please like and subscribe and stay tuned to see them in action.